Hey, this is Michael Emery. Thanks for tuning into the Slow Baja. This podcast is powered by Tequila Fortaleza, handmade in small batches, and hands down, my favorite tequila. Slow Baja is brought to you by the Baja XL Rally. The Baja XL is the largest and longest amateur off-road rally on the Baja Peninsula. It's 10 epic days, LA to Cabo to LA. Check it out at bajaxl.org. I'm delighted to be here in San Juan Capistrano with Sarah Beck, and we are talking about our mutual passion for Baja. And you have the Instagram site, A Mom's Guide to Traveling Baja. Do I have that right?
That's right. Yeah,
I don't have it up in front of me. A Mom's Guide to Traveling Baja.
Yeah.
And I've just been impressed, as one Baja lover to another, I've just been impressed with your integrity and authenticity and your passion and your beautiful long form posts, and that you're down traveling in Baja with your kids.
Thank you.
And that you're posting every day, which I think is phenomenal.
I try.
So let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do it. Where should we start?
Well, let's start with, where did your passion for Baja come from?
Okay. Well, I have, I guess, like a pretty long history with Baja. I grew up in Montana and Oregon. My mom remarried when I was about 6 or 7, and we moved to Oregon from Montana, and we lived in the drizzly rain and snow. Well, we lived in rainy coastal Oregon, and then we lived in Bend, and my stepdad was really adventurous, and my mom's very adventurous too, and they were kind of tired of being in the drizzly rain, and we started surfing on the Oregon coast. And you know, people on the Oregon coast were talking about Baja. You'll meet a lot of Oregonians in Baja, and they all talk about the dream of, wintering in Baja. And so we decided to try that, and we went down for, I don't know, like a month, and then my parents packed us up, and next thing we knew, a month turned into a couple months, and then every winter we started spending more time down there. And we started our first trip, I think, down at the Wall, and I was maybe like 10, I think, and we all really loved it. And then the next year we decided to go all the way. We went down to Cabo, and we made friends along the way, and we're still friends with all those people. And as you do when you're traveling in Baja, and I think, as you know, when you meet people down there, we all kind of fall in love with it. So from there, my parents started looking at property. They were kind of like, we want to do this more. And so by the time I was about 14, they were really talking about moving to Todos or Los Cabos area. And we were looking pretty heavily at property in San Jose area. We were down there for months at a time. And we basically lived at San Pedrito. At that point, Cerritos was nothing. There was like a little tiny kind of hut on the cliff there. I spent months every day walking from Pedrito down to Cerritos on my own, or with my brother, just exploring, surfing. I learned how to surf at San Pedrito, boogie boarded mostly, and tried to surf. And then we met this amazing woman named Sue, and she and Teresita, who lived in San Juanico at the time, or had a place. And she said, you guys should go up to San Juanico. So we went to San Juanico, and my mom and her husband fell in love with it immediately. And they said, let's buy a place. And that was in about 94, I'd say. And so they, and we'd been camping up and down the peninsula for few years there. And I'm like 14, and they bought a place. It was an old Mexican house, and we kind of fixed it up as best as we could. And we went up to Oregon, and we sold our house, and we moved down there full time. I took my GED, and my brother kind of like moved on his own way. He was 2 years older than me. So he was, I think about, almost 16, 17. He decided, I think he ended up moving to Cabo. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But we ended up staying in San Juanico. And I lived down there for about a year. And my husband ended up moving down. He was a bit older than me. But he his dad was building a house on, I don't know, do you know San Juanico very well?
No, I mean, I know it a little bit. I've never been there. I drove through in the middle of the night in January on sort of a big off-road adventure, but I'm certainly well aware of the layout. I have a friend who's building a house down there, has a house, and then he's building a sort of attachment to it and sort of putting together a little surf property.
Okay.
So looking forward to going and getting some longboarding in.
It's a really special spot. I spent a lot of time surfing, as you know, learning to surf. Getting to know the townspeople. And at this point, I'm 16. And I met my husband there surfing. I was surfing at dawn, and he paddled out. He came down to finish his dad's house. His dad was building a house, and he came down to finish it. And we met and fell in love. And I helped him with the house for about a year as he sort of finished it. And we had that adventure, and he was from here, from San Juan Capistrano. So I ended up following him up here. And from that point, we ended up kind of spending a lot of time in Baja, going back and forth. And we also, traveled the globe. We've gone a lot of places over the years. And we lived in Hawaii. I've gone a lot of places. I've been to Southeast Asia and India, and I could name off a bunch of places, but that makes me sound pretentious.
No, let me just jump in for a second, because most people are already slack-jawed that your parents sold the home and moved to Baja, and you managed to get a GED and lived the life in San Juanico. And you look, well adjusted. You've got kids. You're clean, hair's combed, looking good. Middle of the day. Sorry, I'm just joking with you here.
Yeah.
We don't know each other well, so I shouldn't be taking these liberties with joking.
Total
but
freak.
you're not. Yeah, you're not crazy. So I just love that your parents made that leap, and obviously it instilled a sense of adventure into you.
Sure.
And you're instilling that sense of adventure and wonderment, and bringing your kids to Baja, which I did with my kids way back when. They're all in college now.
Sure.
So I have twins, and when they were 2 and when my oldest was 4, we loaded up the minivan and drove on down.
So awesome.
And so I think it's obviously admirable, and that's why we're here talking. But tell me about some of those moments with your husband where you said, how can we replicate this thing?
That's kind of where I was going to get. We kind of traveled all over, and my father-in-law is really funny because he's got a house down in San Juanico. My mom and her husband ended up divorcing, and except I got their house. And so my father-in-law had this house that kind of just sat in San Juanico for a while as I was finishing my degrees, and my husband was working on his career, and we were both kind of not necessarily focused on Baja. We were still going to Baja. We were still going on adventures, and maybe once a year or so, but we weren't that focused on Baja for a while. I still loved it, but it wasn't our number one focus. And then we had our family, and all of a sudden I really, really missed it. And my mother-in-law passed away from cancer, and I needed a shift. I needed it really badly. I was really dealing with some grief, and I looked at my husband right around the Christmas holiday, and we were about to go down to San Juanico with our kids and hang out at my father-in-law's house, and maybe we had just gotten back. I don't know, something. We had just maybe been down there, and I said, "What do you think about us pulling the kids out of school, enrolling them in school down in San Juanico, and going broke for a while, and you commuting," he's a firefighter, "and you commuting to work. I know it's a lot, but I could really use the change." And he's rad. He was like, "Okay, let's try it." And I said, "We'll put our kids in Spanish immersion when we decide to come back." And so that's what we did. So that's that's fast forwarding 20 years. And it was exactly what we needed. And that was when my passion for Baja was really reinstilled. So we started going back down there. And I think I talk a lot on my Instagram page about the AAA map. It's my favorite map. There's a lot of maps of Baja, but that's kind of my old trusty. And I like to pull it out and look at dirt roads and go, "Oh, I haven't been down that one in a while," or "Oh, I've never been down that one." And thankfully, my husband's really adventurous, and you don't see a lot of him on the page.
I've noticed.
He doesn't like social media, And he doesn't like, and a lot of times, a lot of my videos or pictures are from like archives, right? I post every day, so you don't always see. It's not always right now. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you're always in Baja." I'm like, "Well, that was like, last summer." But he doesn't want like his coworkers or friends thinking he's in Baja all the time. So he's like, "Just don't even put me on the page." I'm like, "Well, that makes me look like I'm single or something." And he's like, "That's fine. That's probably better anyway. You're gonna get more followers." So I was like, "Whatever, Jesse." So he's really funny about that. He doesn't post on his social media. He doesn't want me showing him on his social media. So he's my driver most of the time. I like to drive too, but I keep meaning to bring it up on my social media. I think I will at some point. I'm working on a website, and I would like to do a blog post about it. I did roll our car about 3 years ago between Jesus Maria and Punta Prieta, and that was a really intense experience. It was just the kids and I. If you're a real Baja fanatic, you probably have been in a car accident in Baja. You probably know what it's like. I've had that conversation with a lot of Baja freaks like myself. It's an intense experience. It's also like, I think, a Baja badge, so to speak.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I did notice in a deep perusal of your Instagram that you're in the passenger seat. So I deduced that somebody was driving, and it wasn't either one of your young children. So, and you did say that you're a mom, so I was able to also deduce that it was probably your husband driving. And being a husband myself, my wife's not too keen on being included when I'm posting, so I get it.
Yeah.
And tell me about the accident. You were with your kids, and how did that play out? And what have you learned from it?
Oh, okay. So it was when we were living down in Baja. I will say this, I have so much to talk about Baja, but now that we're back, I try and schedule every single vacation around Baja, more or less. I do like to jump over to the mainland every so often, and there are a lot of other places I'd like to take the kids, which I try and do, but Baja is my passion right now, especially because I'd like to create a guidebook that encourages more moms to get down there, because I think it's such an amazing place for kids. It's like freedom for kids, and I don't think kids get the freedom of being able to walk to the store like you do anywhere else, like Baja. And so that's my big goal, is to encourage more moms and women to get down there with their kids. So I'll give a little plug for that. I don't know when it'll get done, but that's kind of my goal, is to have a website and a book out eventually. But back to the car accident. We were living down there at the time, and we were coming back up to the U.S., oddly enough, to get on a plane to fly down to southern Mexico. So I had just driven the north road from San Juanico, and I felt really good about it. We had just gotten out of San Ignacio.
And that's the dirt road.
What's that? That's
the dirt road?
The north road, yeah, the dirt road from San Juanico
right.
From San Ignacio. I had just driven the salt flats. It had been a great morning. It was, if I was going to say where I was going to crash on the Baja Highway, it wouldn't have been where I crashed. But I had just gotten through past Guerrero Negro and past Jesus Maria, which is a really special spot for me. I love that point out there in Mora Domingo. I don't know if you've been out there, but I highly recommend you get out there to Laguna Manuela. It's a beautiful spot. And I had just passed a semi-truck and gotten the kids plugged into a movie and was about ready to get through that no man's land there.
Right,
it's a long stretch out there to El Rosario and into San Quintin. I was hoping to stay at La Mission Santa Maria, the hotel out there. That's one of my favorites. So I had a goal, and I was focused, and it's a really narrow highway there. They've repaved it since, but it was really narrow and crumbly, and right there the highway is really it's up high with no shoulder. And where I was driving, I think even the painted line at that point wasn't even there. It was so narrow that some of that no shoulder part of the highway had crumbled off, and I hit a freaking pothole. My tire blew, and I just kind of fell off the road a little bit. My tire did. And in retrospect, I probably should have just like driven straight off the highway, but I overcorrected. I was going about 65. The Baja Nomad site, you should have heard, because I had a blog at the time, and there was all kinds of commentary about, oh, you were driving too fast. But, 65 is pretty normal for that. I was a straightaway. But because I overcorrected, I spun out. I probably spun 3 times. And the first thing I thought was, oh, man, my husband's going to kill me. And then we flew off the road, and we rolled 5 times. There were angels in our car. I counted like 1. It was slow motion. 2, 3. By like roll 3, I'm thinking, dear God, just let my kids survive. I don't even care if I survive. Just let my kids survive. 4, 5. We landed on the tires, so we weren't upside down. I still, to this day, am so grateful for that. I couldn't open the driver's side, and I heard my son crying, so I knew he was okay, but I couldn't hear my daughter. And the trucker I passed immediately pulled over, and I got out of the passenger side, immediately got to my daughter. The trucker said, "What do you need?" I said, make sure my son's okay and get him out of his car seat. And then I got my daughter woke up. There was blood everywhere. Turns out both kids were fine. Car seats are a miracle. There was a small cut on my daughter. I had lacerations everywhere, shattered my wrist. There's no place to pull over on the road there. There was 9, maybe 4 Mexican cars, but 9 Mexicans that stopped. They collected all of our things. Of course, we were in shock, but they were like, "Where's your iPad? Where's your computer? Where's your car registration? Where's your passport? Where's your purse?" They were so concerned that our things were going to get stolen, that they collected all of our stuff, and they put it in a pile. They washed our faces, wrapped us in blankets, gave us Tylenol, completely took care of us, collected all of our things, and the police then came and put it in the back of their patrol car. And this woman named Claudia, I will never forget her. She had the greenest eyes. She was from Tijuana. At this point, they were putting us like in the ambulance to go to Guerrero Negro. And mind you, let me tell you that there was probably 9 or 10 Westerners that drove past in this time. And imagine me, blonde hair, 3 and 5-year-old, redhead, blonde-haired daughter, covered in blood with a clearly rolled over California Tundra truck, driving past, full on eye contact with a woman at one point. I mean, we were right on the side of the road. Nobody even rolled down their window to say, "Are you okay?" And it's fine. I speak fluent Spanish. I cannot tell you what angels these people were that cared for me. But it would have been comforting to have someone speak English to me and say, "Are you okay?" And I would have said, "I'm fine. I'm good. Thank you." But, and that's the one thing I can say is if you see anyone on the side of the road that's been in an accident, roll down your window. Even if if their car looks overheated, roll down your window and say, "Are you okay?" That's,
right. Right.
That's like Baja code.
So we've gotten on to quite a story here. Yeah. We cut right into it.
Yeah,
Holy
we did.
Toledo.
Sorry. I have a lot to say. Sorry.
I'm slack-jawed, and I remember this magnificent leap that my wife and I took. She quit her job, and they said, no, take 6 months off and you'll have your job back. And we just needed to figure out how to live with no income for 6 months. And I quit my job, and we loaded our kids and drove to La Paz. And that was in the day of guidebooks, and we didn't really know, it was supposed to be a colonial city, and basically had 3 kids in the minivan. But we weren't driving to North Dakota to see Grandma. We were going to Baja, and those were things that I worried about. What happens? I had driven that road. I know about the crown. I know about the, no shoulders, crumbling shoulders, and obviously south of El Rosario all the way to Guerrero Negro, there's absolutely no emergency medical treatment. And considering your husband's a firefighter, that must have been truly terrifying. And I know that there's a volunteer group that goes out of El Rosario, and they will rescue tourists, or they'll rescue anybody.
The Green Angels,
right?
yeah.
They'll rescue anyone who's been in an accident, but it comes via CB from the truckers, and they either come up from Guerrero Negro or come down from El Rosario, and so it can be quite a while before somebody gets you, and quite a ride back. But wow,
yeah. Well,
let's just say wow.
And the craziest part is the woman Claudia. Let me get back to her real quick.
Yeah, please.
She
keep
says
going.
to me as we're like, actually the ambulance wasn't there yet. We're in someone's car. She comes up to me, eyes fiery green, and she says to me in Spanish, "You have to listen to me. Let me take your things out of the police car. They are going to steal your stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to trust me. Please let me take your things out of the car." And I said, "Yes, take my things out of the car." And so they took all my things out of the car, moved it into the car, and then the ambulance came. And then she said, "Can I put your things in the ambulance?" And I said, "Yes." So there was this crazy shuffle of them, like, collecting all the stuff from the desert, collecting all the stuff, putting it in the car, collecting all the stuff, moving all the stuff to the car. Meanwhile, my kids are, like, starting to fall asleep and from shock. And,
Sure.
and so I'm having them count to 100 in English and Spanish. So I'm just trying to keep my kids from falling asleep because I don't know if they have concussions or what's going on. But it was just, like, it was the craziest thing that's really ever happened to me,
So you've survived that.
We survived it. Yeah.
You survived that, and you're still married.
Yeah.
And your husband wished he had been there.
Yeah, he got a phone call in LA, and like,
that
of
must
course,
have just been wow.
Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah. Crazy experience. But what I can say is the hospital bill was $99. They took they fed us lunch. The ambulance drivers were amazing. They drove us to Guerrero Negro. The firefighters they took us to our hotel afterwards. They took such good care of us. And what I can say, and I think what I love about Mexico, and what I really love about Baja is the community, the people, and how caring they are of foreigners. You can come in, and I'm a total foreigner. They don't know me.
Güerita.
Yeah. And and they're just so giving. They'll give you the shirt off their back. My husband's, he's so funny. He always says, "Oh man, Mexicans, they'll give you the shirt off their back, and they'll also take it. They'll take yours."
Well, so that's what everybody. That's the sweeping generalization.
Yeah.
Here, the people say, "Why would you go to Mexico?"
Right.
And you've basically had a sort of worst nightmare, a traveler's worst nightmare.
Sure.
And you've survived. And the takeaway, or at least the takeaway that I'm getting, is that it was the locals. Yeah. It was the locals who looked after you. It was the locals who were most concerned about you faring well in their country, that to collect your things and move them multiple times, and to, in your state, warn you about losing your iPad and these other things that probably at the end of the day it would be an inconvenience, but you would easily replace.
Sure.
Here.
Yeah.
They are worried so much about you, and they're looking after not only your wounds, but your things.
They just wanted to care for me in every possible way, and they wanted nothing from me.
And that's it. And that's the thing that I think that if more people had that message, and maybe it can be the part of your guidebook, if more people had that message, that it's 99% of the people are just darn nice, trying to get dinner on the table, get their kids educated, and live a better life.
Yeah.
And because of the way life is fragile, they're going to be the ones who will look after the neighbor in need.
Sure.
And you may be that neighbor, and you were that neighbor.
Yeah, yeah. And then I think the other message that I'm constantly talking about on my Instagram page is the freedom. I like all of Baja. I'm like one of those people that's like, I will take that fancy hotel. I love a weekend away. I love like the waiter coming to me and bringing me the 2-for-1 cocktails and the swimming pool, and I love that aspect of it. That's really fun. But for me, there is nothing more awesome than like taking an unknown road and ending up on a beach or like in like a mountainous ranch where you're just far and away, and you see like beauty, like I don't know, like you can't see anywhere else. Like I said, I've like traveled all over the world, and I don't think there's anything like Baja anywhere else. And I mean, there is, but there's just something so like raw and untouched about being down there. And things change. I know a lot about the policies down there. When I was in grad school, I really wanted to do my master's thesis on the policy changes that happened in the 90s and the fideicomisos and transnational trade and things like that occurred. I know a bit about that and why the ejido properties were split up and what happened there, and why we see the properties sort of pop up when they did, and why we see what happened to Cerritos, like in Southern Baja. And a lot of people will be like, oh, Southern Baja, it's like so ruined or whatever. I don't think it's ruined. I think it's just as cool, I think the East Cape's super rad still. It's different, I don't know, like, if you've seen what happened with the Grand Solmar. Do you know about Solmar? So Solmar used to have this tiny little hotel. It's on the other side of Divorce Beach there. Mm-hmm. And it used to have the tiny hotel, and it had a really, really cool wedgie wave out there. It was awesome for hardcore boogie boarders, and the turtles used to nest out there. And it was the concession stand there. The Mexican government has a concession area on the beach that's technically not supposed to be sold, and that got sold somehow. And you talk to the guys that do the glass bottom boats and stuff that take you out to the arch, and you ask them about it, and they're like, yeah, somebody sold that, somebody had some money, they paid Mexico. Someone off, right? Yeah. And so now there's the Grand Solmar, and it's this huge, beautiful resort. It's fun to stay at. I've stayed there. I have a girlfriend that has a timeshare there. It's lovely. But do the turtles nest there anymore? No. That really sucks ecologically. But can you stop modernity? No. I don't know. It is. I can't sit there and cry about it. I just kind of have to observe it and say, okay, well, this is what it is, and acknowledge it, and just kind of go see the turtles someplace else, I guess. I mean, what else can I do? There are some really cool nonprofits and things in Southern Baja that are working towards preservation. In La Paz, there's some really cool programs out there, and I'm learning about them through my Instagram account, which is super cool. I don't know if you saw my post about the lease turns.
I did.
Those are. Yeah. Have you seen them down there?
No. Well, I mean, yes. I'm not a birder, but I get it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, see, that's what's so cool about Baja too. Exactly. I sound like such a I guess a spastic freak, because I find so much joy in all these little things. But I'm sitting there, we're down there on the estuary, and I'd never heard of the lease turn. I'm like, what are these things? They're going for my head. And of course, then I go on this Google search, and I learn about these birds, and how cool that they're being preserved. They weren't down there. There's been an effort to bring the leasing terns back there. And
it's working.
And it's working,
yeah.
And they were going for our heads.
I saw that,
you know?
And your kids had some unbridled joy about that.
Yes, well, I did too, you know. Wow, that's so neat, yeah. So,
well, I joke with my wife as I roll into middle age that we're going to have to learn about tree species and birds, and we're going to be, traveling with binoculars and being birders. That's what, people do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But, it wasn't that long ago that we were both two up on my motorcycle riding through Baja and eating mangoes and drinking Coronas on the beach. Here at Slow Baja, we can't wait to drive our old Land Cruiser south of the border. When we go, we'll be going with Baja Bound Insurance. Their website's fast and easy to use. Check them out at bajabound.com. That's bajabound.com, serving Mexico travelers since 1994. Hey, Baja tourism is picking up, and our friends at the Animal Pad and Tap Act want to remind you, when you're crossing the border, just say no to puppy peddlers. I know they're cute, but the sooner we can end the demand, we can end the supply. For more information, check out theanimalpad.org and Tap Act on Instagram and Facebook. So, you've got kids in school, and they're young.
Yep.
And What's your routine? You're not too far. You're a couple hours from the border, I'd guess, here. 2 hours
About
more
2
or less,
hours,
depending on what time you leave.
Yes.
So you're 2 hours north of Tijuana. What's your routine when you're going to take off and you and your unseen husband in your new rig, which just looks terrific, your Jeep with the rooftop tent? What's your routine, and do the kids get fired up about, hey, we're going to Baja, or is it just routine for them now?
It's a combo. So I basically have like my finger on the pulse of their vacations. So I know in my head when the next vacation is. We got President's Weekend coming up. I also know it's whale watching season, and so we went down last spring for the whales, and I wouldn't say we got skunked. It was really cool actually, but it was like nuking wind. So if I can convince my husband to go down for the whales, he's always like, really? And then we get down there and he's like, I'm so glad we went, a couple of years ago, we got it like bomb. It was just like misty morning. We got on the first boat. You heard the whales before you saw them because it was so foggy. It was really magical, and I'd really like a cool experience like that again. The last couple times we've seen them, it's been like really, really windy, which is also really cool. It's like that's fun too. There were a ton of whales last time, but it was nuking wind. So I don't know. That's my next goal. We'll see. Maybe not. It's we're not the kind of people who necessarily have like a plan.
I like that. But do you always have an anchor because of property in San Juanico? So are you always sort of thinking about that's where you're going to end up? Or do you just say, you know what, we need to go to a ranch in the mountains, or we need to get over to the East Coast because it's going to be warmer and it's still winter down there?
I would say my anchor is a AAA map.
I love it, which you can't get any longer, which is tragic.
I have a stash. So
Let's reproduce it.
Yeah, we should, really.
Absolutely.
You can't photocopy it. I've tried. Kinko's gives me a dirty look and says it's impossible. I don't know. It kind of depends. Sometimes we get friends. Have you noticed it's kind of hard to get friends to come to Baja?
I have a friend who has young kids, but we were college buddies, and I can get him to go to Baja.
Right.
But it hasn't been easy, frankly. People, get into, again, I've got kids in college, and I'm hoping that I can get to Baja with my college-aged kids more easily than I can get with my old buddies who we went so many times, so many years ago. But it's hard.
It's hard to round people up, We're always like, you want to come to Baja with us? And
do you scare people? Do you think you scare your friends? I mean, Southern California, Baja is just second nature. People love tacos. People love, everybody's got a pre-runner that they're driving around, a Ford Raptor that they're just driving over to the mall. But do you think you scare your friends?
I don't know. I think they're afraid to scratch their $100,000 Raptors. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of friends that go to Baja, but it's kind of hard to sync up with them. We do have a few friends we've gone with recently. But I don't know if it's like a scheduling thing or if maybe we're just like a little too wild. I'm not sure. Yeah. We're always like, we get out to these like remote beaches. Like, have you been out to El Barril?
Yeah.
Yeah. We get out there and we're like, oh man, it is like so beautiful. Wouldn't it be cool if we had like 5 families out here, like tons of kids? And then we're like, which 5 families can we get out here?
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of hard to round people up. Maybe in the summer we can find some.
Well, you'd hope that your husband's firefighter friends would be leaping at the opportunity for fishing, and
I don't know. It's hard.
There seem to be guys who enjoy that life, or at least they did when I was a kid. I lived in a town that had all the firefighters from San Francisco. It was the first affordable place up the road from San Francisco, and every one of my coaches when I was a kid was a firefighter, and they all had mustaches, and they all seemed to have a smile on their face and a beer in their hand. And anyways, that's firefighter reminiscences. Do you have a list of highlights? Do you have places that when you're thinking about your next trip, is it more about where you haven't been yet, or where there's such a warm memory, where there's a photograph with a filter in your mind that says, I need to get back there and relive that moment?
I think I had a post like a while back where I listed off like the ultimate Baja trip. I'm trying to remember what it was, but I kind of like said like, okay, you got to have like fish tacos. You got to have like street tacos, like meat tacos. You got to have like a beer. You got to have like a Coke in a glass bottle. You got to go someplace new. You got to go someplace you haven't been in a long time. You have to go to like an old favorite, right? Like I can't remember what it was. I can't remember the post, but I kind of like listed off like the ultimate Baja trip, and it was kind of all those things. But yeah, it kind of shifts. We just recently, I haven't posted much about it. I really need to get a website up where I'm like blogging about this guy, where I'm like really going into detail. But we went to Sierra San Francisco, and I hadn't been up there before, and that was all time. That was, for me, mind-blowing. We went in the rain, which was really cool. We were forced to really unplug. The kids were forced to unplug. We were playing like dice and cards with the kids, the donkeys. I think like I just like the other night, like really like posted like a bunch of highlights on my stories, and I don't know if many people were listening to the sound, but we're like on the donkeys, and it's just one video. But my daughter, if you listen to the sound, she goes, "Oh no, we're not going down there, are we?" Because we're like kind of up on a mesa, and we're about ready to go down, and we did go down there, and it was really cool. Like I think the kids were as blown away as we were by the adventure, and I don't know. I can't wait to do it again.
And tell us about your children, their ages. You have a boy and a girl.
I have a boy and a girl. Bo is 6. Layla is 8. I would say Layla likes Baja more than Bo. Bo likes his tablet and English. They're both in Spanish immersion. They both speak great Spanish. Layla connects more with Baja. She likes to surf more than Bo does. She's more adventurous as a whole. Bo's always like, when are we going home? I want to like play with the neighbor kids. He likes it, but he's less enthusiastic. I think that'll change. I think that'll shift. But Layla is always up for an adventure. She really loves Baja. Because they spent a year going to kindergarten down in San Juanico, they have friends down there, which is really cool. They're always really excited to get to San Juanico to see their friends, which was really a goal of mine to establish like ongoing friendships for them. So we always try and get down there in the summer so that they can continue that and like at Christmas time. So that's important to us. It's also really important for me that the kids see how the rest of the world live. They get so much, and I can't help but spoil them, and we don't even, we're not super wealthy, but it's just we live in a world of wealth here. You can't even help but we just have access to so much. It's just like can't be helped,
Yeah, our baseline is so much higher.
Yeah.
And what I saw when we lived in Baja, on vacation basically, and then in Zacatecas where our kids went to school was, it was embarrassing because, the truck comes around and rings the bell and you have to take your garbage out into the middle of the street with the neighbors. And so they would have one of those little tiny plastic bags that's 12 inches by 12 inches, and that's their garbage for a week.
Sure.
And here we are, even consciously trying not to consume.
Yeah.
And, it's freezing cold. So we went to the Soriana and we bought a space heater for our, Adobe that we were renting that was freezing.
Yeah.
But you can't, coming from here, it's just eye-opening how much we have and how much more we have than we actually really need.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that it'd be very interesting to check in with your family when they're, when your kids are 18 and 20 and see what this experience has instilled in them and how they're viewing the world then and what they're deciding to do with their lives. It'd be very, we're going to have to make a date to check back in on the Baja sessions.
I have to remind my kids constantly because my really good friend Dahlia lives in a very humble home and they all share a bed. And I have to say to the kids constantly, and her son is their age, I have to say, where does Adrian live? Let's talk about Adrian for a second. What does he have and how happy is Adrian? Because he's like the happiest kid, and I really, I don't know how to get that across to them. They're young, I'm hoping that eventually click, or maybe it has clicked. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think
know?
I'm not sure that you can quiz them about it, but certainly, it's something that should be resonating with them deeply, and we went through much of that in Zacatecas. You'd referenced earlier the freedom that your children have, that they can just run along, and we had a boy who turned 5 down there, and he just head out the front door, hang a right, and he'd run down, a couple houses down was a little butcher shop, and then he'd be onto the Dulceria on the corner, and there's a little taco stand, and then if you went around to the block behind her house, there was a kid from his kindergarten class whose parents had a little furniture shop, and they lived in the back of the furniture shop, and at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I'd walk down the street, go to the taco stand. ¿Dónde está Roberto? Oh, ahí. Dulceria.
Yeah.
And then you go to the Dulceria. ¿Dónde está Roberto? Oh, ahí. Muebleria. And then you go in there, and he's, on his hands and knees playing a bull, and the kid who lives there is, just back from his bullfighting lesson, dressed as a little matador,
so cool.
Which, like our kids play, soccer or organized baseball. Everything here is so organized. So, in Zacatecas is bull country, and so the kid was learning to be a matador. And Robert's in his family's furniture shop, as a bull, just
cool
knocking stuff over, and but the freedom was incredible.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that we worry so much now here in what's very, very safe country. We worry so much about this, and then you get down there and it's like kids can run, and I think that's a wonderful thing.
And I think that's, in particular, my daughter, that does resonate with her. She always talks about how much she loves that she gets to just walk down to the store and, buy herself snacks. She does really get that is something to value. She loves that she can do that. She loves that she speaks the language and that she can just go in and ask, for whatever she wants to buy. And she really appreciates that, the whole aspect of that. And I love that she has that. And, I was talking to my friend, Katya, who lives down in San Juanico, and she's actually from Los Cabos. She's Mexican. And she said to me, that her nephew came from Los Cabos, and she said that her nephew feels the same way. So he's Mexican from Los Cabos, and he loves going to the interior, to San Juanico, for the exact same thing. So it's not just Americans coming to the middle of Baja. It's also Mexicans from the city who enjoy that as well, and I think that's something that I talk about a lot on my Instagram too, is that I resonate the most with the middle of Baja, El Rosario to La Paz, there's something about
El Rosario to La Paz, you said.
There's
Absolutely.
something about that span of Baja. Not that I don't really connect with, I don't know, all of it. Hold on, let me pull back a second. La Rumorosa, that grade's super at Tecate. I don't know.
But it doesn't sound like you're heading down to the Valle with your lady friends for a women's wine weekend.
I keep trying to get them to go. I say that all the time, and they say, yeah, I don't know if it's just busyness. I do. I got some girlfriends to go last year. So, yeah, I mean, it's just rounding them up. I think people are just so busy.
Right. Too busy. Too busy to smell the...
I had a friend say to me just last night, I was talking about something about getting our girls together. They used to be in the same class together, and they haven't been the last couple of years. And I said, I think they really miss each other. We got to get them together. And she's like, oh, yeah, if you didn't have the whole travel thing that you do.
Oh yeah, or the ski team, or the travel soccer, or any of those. Yeah,
right,
so I go to Baja and give my kids that. Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry.
Right. Bad mom.
Yeah. I just we all have our priorities, and I guess for me, my priority is Baja. And
what's your next Baja priority? Where are you headed? What's I think we got sidetracked.
Yeah, we got sidetracked.
What's brewing on your next trip?
Well, gosh. Okay, so I do like to do my annual, Canyon de Guadalupe. Right? That's those hot springs you've been up there, yeah?
Yeah, and I saw your post about it and how fun it was for you and the family.
Oh, yeah. That's Gosh, they're getting so expensive, though. You know, I mean, they've always been kind of pricey, but I was just looking at their one of their Instagrams. They were like $112. They know their value.
Yeah.
We were joking. We're like, gosh, that's more than like a high-end hotel.
No, I know. That's Calistoga pricing.
Yeah.
Off
Whoa,
season.
That's like, we were up there, like, I think last year, we were like giving them a hard time. We're all, you know what? That's more than like camping in the U.S. But, oh my gosh, a funniest story. I need to post it actually on my Instagram. I need to figure out how to do the live because I've got some long videos. But we brought some friends up there last year, and I was videoed. I like climbed up on this rock, and I was videoing their van like coming in. And then I got done with the video, and I didn't realize my camera was still on. And I come scrambling down, and there's a hole, like maybe like 1.5 feet around, and I fall into the hole. And you'd think, like, I think I had rain boots on, and it looked like I could just, like, tap my foot in. Oh, no, this hole was, like, 6 feet deep. Oh, yeah. I fell so far into it that I had to yell for help. And my husband and our friends had to come pull me out of the hole.
What's your life like here? You've had some adventures, some difficulties.
Life here is okay. I think my last post, I was talking about how if I could just be a little bit more of the person I am when I'm in Baja, I would do a little better.
I thought about starting this show with you reading that post because it's truly, I mean, it's spectacular and it's so deep and so authentic. And I think that we're going to throw out your Instagram again, A Mom's Guide to Traveling Baja.
Yeah.
A Mom's Guide to Traveling
Baja.
One. Exactly.
Yeah.
And people should seek your site out because I think it's really today's post was just amazing. It
Thank
really
you.
is. It really is. And so in a world full of glitz and filters and I hate to say look at me BS, you're a deep dive into authenticity, and that's I'm delighted to be sitting here talking with you in person.
Well, I was talking to my husband about this. I was like, gosh, it's so tricky because I get the most likes on the pictures of me, but I always feel like really weird posting pictures of myself, like, okay, like this is a really cute picture of myself and I'm in Baja and I look really happy and okay, I'm going to post a picture of myself, but I always feel kind of weird, like, so I do it every so often, but, where were we? I lost track.
We were actually hoping to get on to your top 3 or your Baja priorities or where are you heading next?
Where am I heading next? Oh, that's so hard. If we had the AAA map here, I could maybe say, it's been a while since I was over at San Francisco. I don't know if we could get over there. That would be cool. It'd be really cool, I guess, if we did like that'd be a cool loop. If we could go down, see the whales, and then head over to San Francisco and maybe El Barril. Yeah. I know I hadn't wrapped my head around it, but if we go down for President's Day weekend, maybe we'll do that. I'm just coming up with it right now. I really want to get out to Punta Banda over there. It's been years since I've been out there. I also, oh man, it just kills me because a lot of these places, before I started my Instagram, we were going out to these places and I just wasn't taking pictures, or if I did, I wasn't thinking about the Instagram. But we went out to La Bufadora and I took some really killer videos and pictures of those sand hot springs you dig out. And then in a Baja Meltdown. This is ultimate Baja Meltdown. I was really tired. I had gotten this nasty cold, and we'd driven all the way from San Juanico up to Ensenada, and I wanted a hotel room, and my husband wanted to drive home, and we were just really going at it. Kids had been on the tablets all day, and we were, the tension was there. I mean, I'm being real here.
Been there. Family
tension was there, and we stop at El Trilero. We grab some tacos, and I'm like, I want a hotel. He's, and then the kids aren't getting off the tablet. And I'm like, if you don't get off that tablet right now, I'm throwing the tablet out the window. The kid is not getting off the tablet. So I literally, I have to follow through. I throw the tablet out the window. It's in a case, and of course the tablet goes out the window and all of the customers at El Trilero turn around in shock, right? Imagine what's this tablet getting thrown out the window? So there's this silent shock going around. And then, of course, I get out of the car, I pick it up. Everybody's, it's a total scene. And as I get back in the car, my phone is like, I don't realize it's like half out the door, and I crack the phone in the door, and I lose all of my photos. El Barril, San Francisco, LA Bay, La Bufadora, those hot springs there, like so many. It was an epic trip. The whales, so now I basically have to redo that whole trip.
So your husband didn't learn a happy wife is a happy life and what mama wants?
Oh,
Everybody's
no.
happy on that one?
Oh, no. After that meltdown, he drove me directly to La Fonda and got me a very nice hotel bed.
Ooh, yeah, it's just not worth it.
He bought me the most wonderful pancake breakfast the next morning, or chilaquiles. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, just not worth having mom be unhappy.
No.
Yeah. Not at our house.
Oh, no, that was, we always joke that was like the ultimate Mexico meltdown right there. Yeah.
So on that, you're camping. You've got a rooftop tent now, which is pretty glammy.
Mm-hmm.
You're camping. You're in hotels. How do you mix it up?
Once again, it's kind of just depends. It was really funny actually this summer. My husband, we were down in like Southern Baja, and he's usually like the one that pushes the camping. He really likes to camp, and I like camping too. But he was pushing the hotels this summer. He was like, it is too hot to camp. And I was making so much fun. I was like, you are getting old, man. You have to hit a turning point in comfort level. But it just depends. I really like to check out hotels for the for the book I'm working on and for the Instagram. I do know a lot of people prefer hotels. I like to go and check out hotels. Sometimes I don't necessarily stay at them. I'll just go and check out the rooms. It just depends. Depends on how tired we are, how badly we need a shower.
And kids, where they are on the meltdown factor.
Yeah. The kids, actually, they're hilarious. They would rather camp. They say that hotels are disgusting and that they would rather camp. So in their planet, they would prefer to be camped out on a beach.
All right. So on the hotel front, give me a couple of your favorites.
Okay, so La Misión Santa Maria, for me, that is just a rad hotel. I love that it's way out there. It's got that old colonial vibe. I love that it's way out there on the beach. It's just, I don't know, it's affordable, $45.
Right.
It's just, they keep saying they're going to build a pool. I'm not fully buying it. I love that they have a picture of a swimming pool, but it's not out there. I really like, is it El Moro? Is that the name of it? In Santa Rosalia? It's kind of funky. The rooms are, it's not the cleanest. The rooms aren't the cleanest, but I really like.
It's the first one there with the gas station? Am I thinking about this right?
No, it's past the gas station. I'm pretty sure it's
not Mama Rosalia.
Not El Rosario, Santa Rosalia.
Santa Rosalia.
Yeah, we're going all the way down.
Sorry, on the other side. You and I connected about that because we both have this fascination about the place. I've never stayed there, and you did.
Love it, yeah.
Yeah, that whole thing is so fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's a really, the whole town is cool. I just keep wanting to go back. My parents hated that town. They read some story when I was a kid in one of their Baja books about how someone got robbed, and so they never wanted to hang out there. So, but I really like that town. So I think it's called El Moro.
I'll have to check that out.
I'll have to double check. Yeah, it's a really cool hotel that overlooks the Sea of Cortez, beautiful sunrise view. It's got a swimming pool. Rooms aren't the cleanest, but it's just the ambiance is really great. I really like La Tropicana in San Jose del Cabo. That's got super cool vibe. El Cortez in Los Cabos. It's kind of right downtown. It's fairly affordable, and I just like the location. It's not the nicest, but it's cool. If you want a high end, of course, there's the I was talking about it earlier, the one that Solmar. Yeah, the Grand Solmar. That's terribly fancy and fantastic. Where else do I like to stay? Oh, La Perla in La Paz. That's a classic 1950s where all the celebrities stayed. Ensenada, I love Estero Beach. I really like how it's down on the water down there. And they always have really cool musicians that play down there, really cool music. La Fonda, that's a really, really fun one. I don't know.
And have you been up to any ranches? Been to the Melling Ranch or any of the,
Melling Ranch is really cool.
cowboy stuff? Have you done any of that?
Yeah. Melling Ranch is great. Yeah, they've got a cool swimming. See, I always like judge hotels on swimming pools because the kids are like big swimmers, of course. Yeah, so they've got a fun. It's cold, but the kids are like that. They've got those cool fireplaces. Yeah, Melling Ranch is great. Trying to think if I know of any other mountainous hotels. None are coming to mind right now. You know, there's a place.
There's quite a list already off the top of your head. Just putting you on the spot here. That's quite
there
amazing.
is one that I really want to go to that I was reading about that I haven't been to. Maybe some of your listeners know about it. I want to say it's called Agua Verde. Maybe it's like a hot spring hotel ranch outside of Ensenada. It's not the San Carlos. I don't know if you've been out to San Carlos, but that's really cool. They're like 35, 45 minutes south of Ensenada, kind of up in the mountains. Those are really neat. But that's like more camping, and there might be a couple like little cabins. But there's another one more like east, and I think it's called Agua Verde. I need to double check, but I've read about it a couple times, and it's like where celebrities used to stay.
Wow. And
apparently it's kind of high end, and it's got hot springs out there. You know, as you probably like gathered, I'm kind of into hot springs. And apparently it's like really cool. Puertecitos is a cool, weird spot.
Smelly water.
Yeah. I've connected with some guy who lives out there with his wife. He doesn't live there all the time, but he's got a place, and he keeps telling me to visit him. But it's been a while since we've taken the 5, so I need to get over there. He keeps saying like, pop over, say hi. So
we had some good trips down there in the early 90s before my college buddies all got married. We were there with girlfriends in Volkswagen campers, and you were talking about getting friends there, and it seems like that was the last time we had a gang of, I don't know, a dozen or 16 people in Puertecitos, and they actually kept the generator on at the bar past 10 o'clock. And
cool.
the old folks who lived there said, we haven't had that bar open past 10 o'clock in years. You guys must have really been killing it. But have you spent any time south of Puertecitos? I think that's a very interesting area as well.
Oh, yeah, Gonzaga and then Punta Final. My husband actually grew up hanging out a lot down there. His good friend, the Vicks, have a place down in Punta Final, and they had a plane. So he was lucky enough to get flown down there as like a teenage, like young, like 13, 14, 15. So he spent a lot of time, and we actually had a really cool adventure. I think I've talked about it a couple times on my Instagram. One of my most memorable Baja trips, I was in my early 20s. We hiked from Catavina across to Mission Santa Maria, and then over on the Mission Trail to Punta Final.
And what time of year was that?
I want to say like spring break.
Yeah, spring. Yeah, so like it was hot, but not oppressively hot.
Yeah,
okay.
It was like incredible, really cool. It was really fun. We just drove back down in there this last Baja trip that we went on, so that was really cool. And we made it into the Oasis, which we hadn't been to before. So I have amazing pictures and videos of that, which I haven't posted yet. So.
And what time? How's your routine at home on posting to Instagram? Because you are a daily poster, which I love.
Yeah, not always, but yeah.
Daily poster, and you have great stuff.
Thank you.
And what time? I mean, you've got young kids and a husband who works, and I'm assuming you're keeping yourself busy all the time.
Yes.
You're not eating bonbons and posting all day.
No, yeah.
So when do you
I
find the
work.
time?
Oftentimes early morning before the kids wake up, I'll like start it, and then I'll like hit send right before I like send them to school. So I'll like save it and archive it, or right before I go to bed, and then I'll do it in the morning, or maybe after I send them to school, like in between like a work thing, maybe I'll send it. So oftentimes I'll start it and then I'll save it, and then
Yeah, because your stories in the last couple have just been epics.
Thank you.
There really have been epics, and the work that goes into that's astonishing.
I'm a writer, so
okay.
yeah.
Well, it shows.
Yeah. So yeah, it's often times stuff that I've sort of written and then like save, and then I'll send back, and then sometimes you'll just get a short one. Today, one I've been thinking about today's post is going to be really short and sweet. It's just a picture of me in San Juanico, like. I was probably like 19 in the picture, so I'm going to post that one today. It's just me. I'll show you. I'll show it to you.
Yeah, and so we're going to wrap things up here.
We've
been at about just an hour, and I want to say, Sarah Beck, this has been really terrific to get a chance to talk to you, and I hope that people go to your Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Terrific. Well, they'll be looking at that before this podcast comes out, so they'll have to scroll back to see Sarah Beck at 19 in San Juanico.
Long ago, yeah.
Before you were Sarah Beck.
Yeah, but we were dating.
All right. Met my husband when he paddled out at dawn.
Yeah,
That's a great
I said,
story.
I think I've met you before. And he goes, no, I would have remembered you.
Wow. Well, we're going to end it right there.
All right.
So thanks
Sounds
for your
good.
time.
Thank you.
And where can people find you anywhere else besides Instagram?
Not yet. I'm working on a website, so it's coming.
Is that website going to have a name?
It's going to be a Mom's Guide to Traveling or a Mom's Guide to Traveling Baja. I haven't decided yet, so working
Great.
on getting that down. Yeah.
Well, thanks again. Good talking
All
to you.
right. Yeah, thank
Cheers.
you.
Hey, you guys know what to do. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, rating, all that stuff. And if you missed anything, you can find the links in the show notes at slowbaja.com. I'll be back before you know it. And if you want to receive notices on new episodes, please follow Slow Baja on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for you old folks.